Hi, everybody. This is Alan Fine, and I'm here with Jose Kecklin, who is the founder and CEO of Inkaterra Boutique Hotels in Peru. You may know of them. They're luxury, they are award winning, but they're also something much more. They do a lot of good, and we're going to hear about all that here on Insider Travel Report. Jose, thank you for talking with us.
Nice to be with you, Alan. And as you said, it's the purpose. From
Right.
the beginning, it's been the purpose.
And what's amazing though is you have achieved so much. I mean, there are so many travel advisors who know about the Inkaterra hotels, and they think about it as luxury and boutique. And we're going to talk about the three that I visited because they certainly are that. But what you do with them and what you do with the money that comes from them is so great, and we'll talk about that too later. First, one of the things I want our travel advisors to understand is that uh, they can they can plan a week or 2 week vacations in Peru and tour it using Inkaterra. Isn't that correct?
Definitely, that's been the purpose to be at places where you can be in different places, but comfort-wise, it's feeling at home at a given different home of a given different family within a different environment and culture.
And as we talk about it, they're all beautiful, but they're all in different locations. So there's a different feeling, but they're all decorated so beautifully. So we'll talk about that as well. But also, what I liked was that you were able to construct a visit that was easier on my body. So you could actually plan to go to an Inca at a certain altitude and work your way up. Talk about that for a moment, please.
That's the trick. Let's say you fly airplane altitude, feeling good, normal on the plane. So that's what we wish to bring you into feeling well at airplane altitude, which is Machu Picchu. And so you gateway is Cusco, but you come in via Machu Picchu to yourself, to your comfort. And then you go up to the Sacred Valley and to Cusco.
So we've been writing about it all this week, and that's one of the things I wrote in detail about the different altitudes. My first introduction to Inkaterra was the Hacienda Urubamba, and that's in the Sacred River. Let's talk about that, and I want to show our advisors what it looks like as you arrive and as you walk in. Let's talk about how it looks and how it feels.
How it feels? You feel at home. Denise, my wife, she did the whole architecture, the decor, the pieces within the hotel. Everything is particularly made for that particular place, as if you were at home, and that's the purpose. It's not a hotel per se that has been requested to a given architecture and a given decor and a given. It's a feeling, and that feeling is that we are at home in different places as if we lived there.
Now it has a main building and then casitas. How many rooms and suites in the main building, and how many casitas, please?
Yes, the trick to the setting was that not to build on the agriculture area, not to build on the valley, to say so, but to build the hillside. And that way, we're telling the people that that's where the Incas actually built, on the hillside. So as not to take what's good, it's not to change the environment. So, and it happens to be the best view because you're above the valley and you're at the mountain altitude, to say so. So it's so much better. And then the materials, it's what is indigenous to the area. The raw materials. It's stone. Stonework is fantastic. It's wood. It's big beams of eucalyptus, which is not indigenous to Peru, but it is abundant in Peru because it goes with the environment. And ceramic tiles, handmade ceramic tiles on the floor, on the roofing. So it's as simple as it may be, so that the people at the area may recognize that their belongings is what is good for the high end, which are looking upon, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. It's so be there.
What I loved were the huge windows, and there was a vista from every vantage point. There's a from the dining room and the lounge, and then of course from each of the casitas, and then you have activities, and one of them was a twilight walk where we really got up there. We walked past your farms growing corn and herbs and other things. And we had lanterns with candles, and the kids loved that. And we went up there, and the stars started to come out, and it was beautiful.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Only if you've been there, as you have been there, you can pass on the message which you have just done.
Well, also talk about, please. I got to learn about making corn beer, which is a sacred drink.
Yes, it's indigenous. We tend to try to have a learning experience to see how it was, how it is, and that's the whole concept of conservation, which is not just a material thing, but it's tradition. And corn beer and quinoa and the giant corn, it's and the bread, how it's made. It all adds up to a true feeling of that precise area where you are at.
I have pictures of food. This is where I began to gain weight. The food was terrific. And I would like to just show the audience the presentation, which is the presentation is as wonderful as the presentation of the lobby and the rooms. It's all a part of it. I think I told you I felt like the food was spiritual, and it's because you're also doing these spiritual activities that you come in and eat, and you can't help but think that.
Yes, Alan, you got it. It's what can I say? You're saying it.
So does the property have a spa?
A beautiful spa, Alan. It's the spa. It stands alone, architecturally wise, setting wise, comfort wise. The whole aroma of the place and the whole features. It's exactly what you would imagine a spa, a well-being place to be at, and it's good. It's good. It's nice.
In order to get to Machu Picchu Pueblo, you have to take the Inca Rail. Now that's an experience, and I was not expecting what happened. Now you've been on it a million times. What is it like for you?
Again, it's the sense of place. At every moment, you need to be brought back to reality, so as to feel that you are in a given place, and that's what happens throughout the journey. It's
well, what I liked was the no matter how jaded a traveler was, having seen the legend of the princess and the warrior, and they'll talk through it. But what's wonderful is this performance happens, and at the end, when they fall in love and hug, everyone stops what they're doing and they clap, and it's a very warm moment. But you know, the people who do the service on the train reenact this legend, and it's quite lovely.
Yes, and the legend starts with the orchids. There's this particular orchid, the Mas de Valia, And then you can go into so many given segments, niches in Machu Picchu. Yeah. You go there because of what the Incas did, where they did it, this magnificent place where it's the Green Mountains. But what's in the green? And in the green, you have diversity, biodiversity, and that's orchids. It's the one given place in the world within the hotel, Inkaterra Machu Picchu Pueblo Hotel, where there's the largest collection of native species in their natural habitat ready for you to see them, as are the birds. 372 orchids in
And
the
about
hotel.
250 birds.
Within a small town, within city limits, to have 214 wild bird species, of course, wild, it's unusual. Not to say unusual. It's a uniqueness. And the butterflies, over 100, 111, and the ferns and the bromeliads, and you can carry on. It's biodiversity, but mega magnificent. It's all there for you to walk around, and without noticing it, you are there. You
We're
are
going
in
to
what
show them all those orchids and many birds, including the red one, which is called what?
the cock of the rocks.
And what does it
It's
represent?
it's meant to be the national bird. It's very difficult to see in the wild. It's within the hotel grounds. It has been through the years. We've been planting a free lunch for them.
Speaking about the free lunch and feeding the birds, I found the most biodiverse meals at this location. The food was the menu was large, and I have many pictures of beautifully displayed and presented dishes. Do you have any favorites? I might have a photo of it.
You say dishes, and dishes it is. It's not only the food that comes in on the dish, but the dish itself. Every hotel has a different design, and that design is particular. It's Denise, my wife. She designed it. Some of them have been sold in America and Pottery Barn. It's the uniqueness of the feeling goes all the way down to that, to not only what you eat and how it looks, but the container itself, the dish. You got it, Alan.
And the most important part is that you are in a cloud forest and almost an alpine village. And I have many pictures of the vegetation growing in and around and on the casitas. It's just lush.
And lush, man-made lush, Alan, allow me to say, that was grassland some decades ago when we bought it. It was cattle on that land. So we built the casitas, and as we built them, we researched on what the birds fed on. And we planted those shrubs, those trees. So now what you see is a hotel within the trees. But at the beginning, there were no trees.
Wow.
And that's it takes time, but that's true conservation, to call it that way.
And you have a heated pool and a plunge. I mean, the pool is literally the water coming down from the mountain. Talk about that, please.
Yes, far up the mountain, over a mile up, there's the source. Actually, it's 7 different sources, and we managed to find them out there up on the hill. So it's real natural water, which is absolutely potable. It's clean. It's been tested. May I say that we are going to bottle it. We're going through the process of having all the permits because it's a national park and so. But it'll be the true experience of water flowing from the mountains of Machu Picchu.
Now, again, you have a spa here.
Yes, it's the town was referred to as Aguas Calientes, hot waters. That was the nickname of town. Now it's Machu Picchu Pueblo, the district.
Well, so how many?
And
I mean, it's a full spa, and but it's also open to the public. You have like a outdoor sauna, Inca
yes,
style.
yes, it's a dome made out of local vegetation. So you're like in an igloo. It's but warm and unique as well. It's
And eucalyptus, is that part of the
yes,
treatment in there?
yes. It's
So you have a tea area where people can learn about tea and what you're growing.
yes. Over 100 years ago, let's say 150 years ago, a given Peruvian tried to plant tea in different places of Peru, the Camellia sinensis, and it's there the best tea of 100 over 100 years ago that it's made by hand. The tea itself, it's under the shade. It keeps the environment as it was. It, it, it's uh, it's it's a comeback to create jobs to the many people who in the past their families depended on tea manufacture, by hand. That's a manufacturing.
And and also you had that particular hotel has two restaurants. There's another. Well, let's talk about the location is right where the train drops you off. You are right there, and then across the tracks is another restaurant.
Yes. That's because at the beginning, again, there was no train station in town. So we divided the property as to allow a train track to go according to altitude to the level to into town and build the train station there. So years ago, you had your end of the road. The train station was over a mile downriver.
And that restaurant across the tracks is perfect.
Yes,
It's separate and it's as comfortable as the hotel and it's long and I love the way it ends like a caboose looking out at the tracks. I do like that aspect as well. So my final hotel, and again, and there's 8 of them. We're going to talk about more, but the one I saw was in Cusco, and it's the La Casona, which is a 16th century manor house. Let's talk about that, how you got it and how you transformed it, please.
it's meant to be one of the first 16 Spanish houses in Peru. It before that it was meant to belong to the army elite of the almost last Inca. So it was like a place of well-being, meaning of living well. And over that, the Spaniards built with adobe a house that is the only one house with the Moorish architecture in Cusco, and maybe in Peru of that time. So it's one of the early 16 houses. It's a national monument. It was very, very rundown. So it had to be redone absolutely from everything. And again, the concept was to make it a home. Denise built her home there. Many years ago, she lived up in the highlands for over 8 years. So she had the natural essence, feelings of the highlands. What is cold, what is warm, what is how you feel in given climatic circumstances. And she has done that. She built what is a home. And that home was the residence of one of the three conquistadores, Almagro, and it was the residence for a time of the Libertador Bolivar.
So it's 11 apartments, and it gorgeous doors, tapestries, artwork, a small but comfortable restaurant, and so close to the main square. Let's talk about the environment.
Yes, it's the Plaza Nazarenas, just one long block to the main plaza. It's it's the real Cusco. It's in the old quarters. It's built the whole area. It's the mixture of Inca and original Spanish glamour. It's very nice.
Yeah. So again, the food. I, I came home to get a grip, and because you fed me so well. There I had my first guinea pig, which is of course a national food, and it was quite good. So is there anything you want to say about the food in the Cusco branch?
Sure. It's indigenous to the area. The guinea pig is the cuy, which is the basic protein in the Andean of Peru. As we're trying to domesticate a giant snail in the Amazon, so as to make it the protein for the people who live in the countryside with no electricity and no access to proteins. The food has to be as authentic, and not only in the flavor, in the flavor, which is a mixture of what it was with what are we used to, and but the ingredients and the presentation and imagination to do it in such a way that you will find something that is different from what you usually get at any place. And then, as you said, that the dining room is very small, so it's no outsiders. It's for those who stay.
At each of the Inkaterras, the service and the staff was impeccable. Your training shows.
It's a natural thing. Let's bear in mind that Peru was one of the cradles of civilization. So it goes over 5,000 years. And so people are amicable. It's service in a different way than in many other places because they look at your eyes. They welcome you. They welcome you. They feel that you are a visitor to their home. So it's a gentleness which is quite unusual.
And for such an intimate boutique hotel, La Casona, I mean, you've had a spa at each of the other hotels, but this is so small. But you didn't neglect it. You have a nice room for what?
Yes, it's a spa, meaning, but
just for massages
yes, and there's a sauna in it, a very small one, just in case you will like to have it. But it's enough to feel that again, you are well treated.
Now, this was my trip, and I'm glad to get to share my pictures, my family films with everyone. This was my trip, but now let's talk about the other hotels, and let's really bring in all the good that they do and how I mean, you've already hinted at it. We've already heard some of it, but let's really bring it home for the travel advisors to understand the bigger picture of Inkaterra.
Now it matches with the common sense. In the 70s, when we got to the rainforest after co-producing with Werner Herzog Aguirre, The Wrath of God, we decided to carry on with this challenge of having some real contact with nature in the 70s. So we went far away, and there we tried to keep that feeling, that childish amazement. To describe it, you need to put it in factual terms. So that goes into inventories, flora and fauna. That takes us into documenting nature in the 70s. So since then, we've been trying to learn what is that nature is all about around us. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Write it down, document it. And now we have some achievements to do some name dropping with E.O. Wilson from Harvard to 2 Pulitzers. The largest number of ant species in a given place in the world. With the American Orchid Society, the largest number of native orchid species in one place in the world. With birds, we have within the Inkaterra Hotels almost as many, 20 less than the whole country of Costa Rica put together. And we can carry on telling about what the findings of doing documenting research, which leads to conservation.
So it began to dawn on me that, I'm here reporting on a beautiful luxury hotel chain. And what's really happening is you're picking your locations in order to improve the flora, fauna, and people of those areas. Am I correct?
It is. And the next one, which is to be opened this year, it's at Cabo Blanco. Cabo Blanco is where the largest ever sport fishing award happened.
Again, here it's like I came at this project thinking, oh, he shrewdly has almost every type of vacation you could do in Peru, and he doesn't have a beach. So now he found a beach, but you didn't find a beach for the hotel. You found it because you knew that the sport fishing was so great and it's been depleted, and now you want to fix it, and you want to use revenues from your hotels to do that.
The purpose of that's the meaning of life. You need to have a purpose, you need to have a vocation, a passion, and carry on, go through the many difficulties to get it done. It takes years to get it done, over 10 years, 12 years, 14 years, 16 years, one of the hotels. So it's not easy, but there we are. It's trying to keep, to learn, as to teach, to share learning with those who come, but through learning, not by the book, but by the book we have written. And the guides, there are local people who know about the area, who can pass on the feeling of being born, to say so, in the area, most of them. And the hotel managers, most of them are native to the area as well.
Everyone I spoke to talked about how you run all 8 hotels, and they all talk about you with glowing words. Your vision has trickled down to them, and they are carrying it out with great glee. And so I'm privileged to have been there to begin to understand what you're doing, and I respect you, and I'm glad to have met you.
Oh, that's overwhelming. Thank you, Alan. It's truly thank you. It's but the job is still in the making. Allow me to say that with Smithsonian Institute now we are working on restoring genetic flow in a large piece of the area in the Amazon where we are at. It's there's so much damage already done that it has to be taken care as much as we may. So tourism, the hotel business, we are in hotel business. It's the way to bring up funding to care in real terms for the environment.
So Peru has had its turmoil, it's had trouble. One of the reasons I came out there was to show how safe it was. I would like you to please address that for a moment.
Many places in the world, there's confusion about how to do good for the people, for the environment, for life, for the world. It's a global issue. In South America, we have different countries that have gone to extreme situations, which were meant to be good doing for the people, but actually came up to be just for some people, for a group. So it has turned out to be some authoritarian governments, meaning to be socialist or meaning to be good for the people, but not actually. And that was happening in Peru until December 7, when the president, he closed down Congress. But Congress reacted. In just a couple of hours, he was ousted. And that brought confusion and violence. And as we have seen in any place in the world, violence happens to be, and then it may carry on if you, depending on what you do. Here, it was the Gandhi attitude, no confrontation. So now it's simmered down. Now Peru is a safe place to come back, no violence, as you may see. Come by because it's Peru. Peru, quite it's been through the centuries. Peru again, since 5,000 years.
So let's wrap up by saying to our travel advisors, yes, Inkaterra is a great product. Yes, your guests will love it, but please explain to them the good they'd be doing by visiting, because that's part of it.
Yes, Alan. Travel and Leisure, the magazine, some few years ago before the pandemic, they, in their annual survey, it happened to be that the best hotel brand in the world, number 3, happened to be Inkaterra. Quite a surprise. A very small hotel chain in darkest Peru, as the Paritumber said. It was a nice surprise.
Especially when all you want to do is help the environment. Oh, by the way, the hotel's pretty good too. Go figure.
You got it.
Jose, thank you so much for talking with us. Good luck on everything you're doing, and love to your wife Denise, please.
Thank you, Alan, and to those in the audience, do come by. Peru is a place where it's a lot of poverty, meaning that people still live as centuries ago, which is good in a sense, bad in another one. But how to conciliate both worlds for the well-being of the people, it's and the environment, of course. It's what you and I, we can do together.
And this is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.